And good Sunday morning. Matt Ray, KGO Radio 810. We're taking your calls at 415-808-0810. 808810 is the number. You can also chime in on Twitter at Matt Ray Talk and at mattraytalk.com, the website there. Send your emails there and the KGO Facebook page as well. There's a viral video going around, and it shows two Marines confronting suspected imposter in a military uniform. This is happening a lot lately. I've seen a lot of these videos. There are websites now that are popping up exposing the fakes. Our guest, we've had him on before. We go to him whenever there's anything militarily, I guess we should say, that we want to talk about, and it has to do with anything legal. Military attorney Brian Bouffard, he's an expert in military justice. The website is jagdefender.com. Brian, thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate it.
Matt, good morning. Good to talk to you.
Yeah. First of all, Brian, I have to ask, I've never served. I know you've served. Thank you for your service. I would never even think about putting on a uniform and walking around and acting like I served. I can't even wrap my head around why anybody would do that. Why would people do? Why would somebody do that?
I think it's sad. I really do. I think it's probably people who just kind of have lives that they aren't happy with and don't feel respected and feel like if they put on what to me and you is a uniform that's earned, to them it's just a costume, and they feel like they can put that on and go out and people will smile at them. And I don't want to go so far as to say that everybody who does it is mentally ill, but I bet that that plays a large part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, if they're people that just want attention, there's some irony there in that everybody I know who has served, who I say thanks for your service to, we appreciate what you did for us. They're so humble about it. They rarely bring it up. You don't even know. You wouldn't even know it about them unless you knew them close. You knew them well. I mean, that they did what they had to do, and they're not. They don't brag about it or anything. They're very humble about
right.
it. So the fact that maybe these people want attention, that's just bizarre.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing. And as for myself, I am a veteran, but I am not a combat veteran, and I feel the same way you do. It would be inconceivable of me to hold myself out as somebody who, earned a combat medal or ever served in that capacity. You just don't lie about stuff like that unless you're a person, like I say, either mentally ill on one hand, and that's very sad, or just somebody of pretty low character.
So what? Coming from your end of it, and you said you weren't in combat, but from your perspective, at least, what do you think when you see somebody walking around in a uniform that they haven't earned?
Well, I don't know that I've ever even personally seen that. Although when I saw this video, it was very apparent to me, just like I think it's apparent to most people who look at it, that this person, didn't even take the time to really research how to put the uniform on and how to wear the medals and all that. And it was just obvious that he was, completely like a soup sandwich. And that's what these two Marines noticed. My understanding is that the two Marines, who, when you see in the video, they're wearing civilian clothes. This was at a funeral, and they had been part of the Marine burial detail. And during the course of that, I believe they observed this guy, and it really jumped out at them that his uniform didn't look right. So once they got done and changed back over, they went ahead and talked to him. And I think those two Marines handled it, very well.
Yeah, you can find that video on the Facebook page. It's U.S. Army WTF moments, which we all know what that stands for. Our guest is military trial attorney Brian Bouffard. So let's talk about the legalities of this. This is against the law. Well,
it is, and under this particular set of facts, it is. The law has kind of a tortured history. Back in 2005, President Bush signed the Stolen Valor Act, which basically said, if you hadn't earned it, you can't wear any kind of military uniform or device or medal or anything like that. There was a case in 2012 in which the Supreme Court said, that law violates the First Amendment because it's too overbroad. And so in response to that law being struck down, in 2013 they amended it where it is now illegal to make fraudulent claims about your service if you have the intent to obtain money, property, or other benefit. It also limits the medals that you're not allowed to wear to combat-related medals. So they kind of softened it a little bit on First Amendment grounds, but at the same time, it's certainly within everyone's First Amendment rights to point at a liar and call him a liar as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is the penalty in civilian courts if you're caught, if you're caught breaking any of those?
It's basically a federal misdemeanor. Depending on what you're claiming and the circumstances, you could be imprisoned for up to a year.
Yeah. And what about, does anything happen in the military?
I don't know that I have ever, in my long career prosecuting and defending military cases, I don't think I've ever seen a case in which an active duty service member was prosecuted for wearing a device or a medal that he or she had not earned. I mean, it's, even people who, get in trouble and whose service may not be exemplary. I mean, most of those people certainly know well enough not to walk around wearing stuff like that because, I like to hope that it's because they know that it's wrong, but you're also, around a bunch of people who are going to know what the truth is and be more than willing to call you out about it.
Sure. What do you make of, this isn't the first one I've seen. This is the most recent video I've seen. What do you make of this? Is it the rise of everybody having a cell phone and pointing them out? I mean, and the websites that are popping up, too, that are exposing these fakes. What do you make of this increase in what we've seen?
I think it's wonderful. Like I said, I understand the Supreme Court's rationale in saying that, you have a First Amendment right to say and in some instances do certain things that decent people would find pretty abhorrent. I mean, you can look at the Ku Klux Klan case law and see that.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, I wholeheartedly support people who want to call these folks out and publicly shame them. I just imagining if I had been in combat and had that experience and had gone through everything that it takes to go out there and do that and have lost friends, the thought of somebody, pretending to have done that is very, very off-putting.
Yeah. Brian Bouffard, he's our military expert. He's an expert in military justice. The website is jagdefender.com. Brian, we appreciate your insight as always. Thank you so much.
Matt, anytime. Take care.
All right, you too. 415-808-0810 is the number, 808810. You can chime in on Twitter at Matt Ray Talk.